Hello, this is Myra Elaine on the Buying Space channel. Today I continue reading the four Gospels Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which are four of the disciples that traveled with Jesus that helped found the church and spread Christianity throughout the world. We are in chapter 23, starting in verse 26, the crucifixion. At this point, Jesus had been arrested and judged by the religious leaders of his own faith, taken to Pilate, and then Herod, and then Pilate, and was judged by the government, judged by the people, judged by the crowd, to be crucified. As they led Jesus away, a man named Simon, who was from Cyrene, which is in North Africa, happened to be coming in from the countryside. The soldiers seized him and put the cross on him and made him carry it behind Jesus. A large crowd trailed behind him, including many grief-stricken women. But Jesus turned and said to them, "Daughters of Jerusalem, don't weep for me, but weep for yourselves and your children. For the days are coming when they will say, 'Fortunate indeed are the women who are childless, the women that have not borne a child, and the breasts they have never nursed.' People will beg mountains, 'Fall on us,' and plead with the hills, 'Bury us.' For if those things were done when the tree is green, what will happen when it is dry?" What an odd thing to stop when you are on your way to die, to deliver this message to women in the crowd. Don't feel sorry for yourselves today, because in the future, women won't even want to have children. Now, any of you that have read the Bible, that are familiar with the culture that these women were in the past, even in my mother's generation, there were women that felt like they were worthless if they didn't have children. Your measure as a woman in our society, and at the time of Christ, and at the time of Abraham, was gauged by the number of children you have, what kind of mother you are. That's what these women live for. They were prepared as young girls to find a good husband and to have children, to have a family, to have a large family. That was what their place in society was. And if you were upper class and you were a woman, you needed to bear an heir. Mary bared the heir for our future kingdom. So motherhood was paramount. So why would Jesus say this? We're going to go back to where he's quoting from, because he is quoting scripture from the Old Covenant, from the Old Testament, as he's fulfilling and beginning the New Covenant. So let's go to where he was quoting from. It's in Hosea. Chapter 10. And the pagan shrines of Avon, the place of Israel's sin, will crumble. Thorns and thistles will grow up among the altars. They will beg the mountains, bury us, and plead for the hills, fall on us. So here we have what Jesus was quoting. And what is so special about these pagan shrines? Well, first of all, it was a betrayal of God to have these pagan shrines. But this is the shrine of Avon. And this is a reference to Beth Avon. And it's mentioned further back in this chapter. So we're going to go to verse 5 of Hosea. People of Samaria tremble and fear, for they call their calf idol at Beth Haven, and they mourn for it, though the priests rejoice over it. Its glory will be stripped away. And this Beth Haven means house of wickedness. So in the future, Jesus is saying that wickedness and destituteness and vines over the altar, which might be even literal, because we don't know where the original altar is. We don't know where the Ark of the Covenant is, supposedly. There are theories, but the altar has been long abandoned or destroyed. And it might literally be somewhere with vines growing over it. We don't know. But it was made of gold and bronze. So it could have survived. The bronze altar could have survived to this day. But let me not get sidetracked on that. So Jesus took the time to tell these women that you are living in a good age. That in the future, people will not want to have children because things are so wicked. Starting in my generation and even before, there were preppies that were choosing not to have children. Well-off Americans choosing not to have children so they could pursue wealth. They let go of the family. They let go of Christianity. They let go of God in pursuit of having a more luxurious lifestyle. I think God would consider that wicked. But we had reached a population point that people didn't need to be having more children. I don't know if I want to completely call that wicked, but it's, I think God did intend us to marry and to have children, and that was God's design. And I'm not saying people that choose not to do that are wicked, but I think what Jesus is talking about is something beyond that. It's beyond choosing not to have children because of lifestyle. People are choosing or unable to have children now because there's no support, there's no love for those children. It seems like the politics today are for people to have children, but then there's no support for them. Recently, I heard a political debate about a lady named Jasmine, who is a leader in our country, who got held back in second grade. And wasn't that she was unintelligent, wasn't that she wasn't trying, but she was hungry. And sometimes they didn't have electricity in their home because the lights got turned out. So it wasn't that she wasn't trying, that she wasn't worthy, that she wasn't intelligent. It was that they had so little, that they were impoverished, and she didn't always have electricity in her home or food to eat. I think in addition to making sure children are born, we also need to make sure that they're taken care of. And we live in that day and age where people are heartless. I was in a political debate one time, and I'm scarred about it to this day because someone that I love, that I watched grow up, told me that they didn't want to pay $1.24 a year for children in the United States to have PBS. When Marty was growing up, we had PBS. When I was growing up, we had PBS. It's taught generations of children how to count and read and share, be good human beings. It wasn't God focused, but it was conscientious and healthy information for generations of children. And it just becalmed me that here this person I watched grow up from a little boy was now so heartless. I mean, made very good money, upper middle class, doesn't want to give $1.24 so a poor child can have educational programming to watch. It's shocked me. And and that was 10, 15 years ago he said that to me. And I don't think he's softened, but I still love him. He's still blood. But we definitely don't agree on a lot of things. But Jesus knew what the prophet Hosea said was true, and he saw the future. He saw where we are today, where things are so wicked that people cannot have the joy of having a family if that's what they choose to do. Many people, when, the preppies, some of them, it was intellectually a choice, not because they just wanted a certain lifestyle, which they did, but also, even then, you could see that resources were limited on the planet, and the future looked very complicated, if not grim, to those people. They could see the changes that were coming, and they knew that things were going to get more and more competitive. They saw that. And I heard many people say, even when Marty was born, that why would you want to bring a child into this world? That's been something people have been saying for starting 40, 50 years ago. And we have had an acceleration of people saying that we are in the end times. And it's funny that people were saying that a decade ago. From where I'm standing today, a decade ago was paradise. And the decade before that was even better. And things just get more and more competitive and more complicated. And there's more and more conflict and wars. I mean, we're even divided over whether we should go get a taco today or not. I wonder how much the Mexican restaurant and Mexican chains like Taco Bell are suffering or have gained customers because of the whole taco thing. I mean, I couldn't order a Long Island iced tea or Arnold Palmer for a minute because of politics. Things are wicked. When you have a sitting president that's referring to a fellow golfer's thing, what has the world come to? I mean, and that's just one little thing. I don't understand the wickedness that we have in our society, that we would even elect such a person. And I know this is a Bible reading, and I know the rules are that I'm not supposed to get political, but I can't ignore it anymore. Jesus told us there would come a day that when women would not want children. And we're in that day. We need more people. We need those people we're sending out of the country. We need them. And some of the babies that have been sent out of this country with their mothers or fathers that are U.S. citizens. Maybe their parents deserve that fate, but their children, they did not. And I'm sure their parents, their mothers, are weeping. Their fathers are weeping for their children. That kind of sorrow from wickedness is what Jesus is talking about. The destruction of Gaza, the invasion of Israel, the constant terror going on where children and innocent people are caught in the crossfire in masses. What wickedness? And for what? For a piece of real estate. It didn't start out that way, but it needs to end soon. Israel is God's chosen people, and they have a right to survive. But it's been going on too long. It needs to stop. And it took me a long time to get to this point. But I'm there now. It needs to stop. I understand Benjamin Netanyahu's point of view because they keep coming at them and coming at them and coming at them. But let's just stop and see if they come at them again. I think they have made their point. I think the point has been taken. So let's just pause. Let's just stop and go completely defensive and not offensive in any way. My personal opinion. But we are to the point of wickedness that we can't bring children into this world in all good consciousness. And those are still people that are still having kids. God bless them. And I hope they're able to protect their children from all of this. I pray for that. I'm going to pray for the children of the world. Because we live in a world now